Next time you are standing in the grocery store, right there in the produce aisle, tossing a plastic-wrapped carton of white button mushrooms into your pause for a second.
Yeah, take a real look at what you are actually holding.
Right, because you might think you're just buying this, sort of spongy, mildly flavored water vessel to slice up for your salad, but you are actually holding a biological gold mine.
We really do have this tendency to view the food in our grocery carts strictly through a culinary lens.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at a mushroom and think about texture, or maybe how it's going to soak up whatever sauce we cook it in. But from a cellular perspective, what you've got in your hand is one of the most structurally and biochemically fascinating organisms on the planet.
And that is exactly what we are getting into today. Welcome to this deep dive.
Glad to be here for this one.
Today's mission is going far beyond basic calorie counts and macros. We are unpacking the hidden biochemical power of mushrooms.
It's a journey that really challenges our basic assumptions about food.
Right. We are going to explore how they interact with human physiology on a cellular level, why the way most of us prepare them is, biologically backward, and how a remarkably simple windowsill trick can turn an ordinary grocery store ingredient into a targeted vitamin powerhouse.
Yeah, we are talking about highly specialized, millions of years old interactions between human biology and fungal biology.
Okay, let's unpack this from the very beginning, because before we can even understand what mushrooms do inside our bodies, we really have to understand what they actually are.
Which most people get completely wrong.
I mean, I feel like most of us just casually group them in with vegetables. You find them next to the bell peppers and the zucchini, so, we treat them like produce.
Which makes perfect sense from a chef's perspective, but biologically, they occupy an entirely different world.
Right.
Fungi sit right on this evolutionary knife edge. They're neither plant nor animal. They exist in their own distinct kingdom.
So where do they fall in relation to us? Because looking at a mushroom, it looks a lot more like a weird plant than a dog or a human.
And this is where the evolutionary tree gets wild. Humans actually share a much more recent common ancestor with fungi than we do with green plants.
Wait, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
We are more closely related to fungi than plants are.
We are. We are closer cousins to that mushroom than we are to the spinach you might toss it with in a salad.
That is just so strange to think about.
It is, but because our evolutionary pathways diverge much later than our split from plants, mushrooms produce compounds that interact with human physiology in incredibly specific, targeted ways.
Because we sort of share a common ancestor.
Exactly. Plants simply cannot replicate these interactions because they don't share that same foundational biological architecture with us. Our cells, in many ways, speak a similar biochemical language.
Okay, but despite that kinship, fungi clearly have some very non-human structural features. Let's talk about how they're built.
Sure.
If I look at a standard vegetable, say a piece of celery or a carrot, its cell walls are made of cellulose, right? That's what gives a plant its crunch.
Correct. Cellulose is the structural carbohydrate of the plant world, and human digestion handles it as roughage.
So what is giving a mushroom its structure? Because it's clearly not cellulose.
No, it's not. Fungal cell walls are built from a completely different polymer called chitin.
Hold on. Isn't that what insects are made of?
It is the exact same tough, fibrous material that makes up the exoskeletons of insects and crustaceans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, biologically speaking, the structural material holding that soft mushroom together is the exact same stuff that makes a crab shell hard, or, a beetle's armor click.
I mean, my jaw is actually dropping right now. We are slicing up microscopic insect armor on our cutting boards.
It paints a very different picture of your dinner, doesn't it?
It really does.
But this specific structure brings us to a massive nutritional paradox. On one hand, chitin is an amazing substance for human health.
No, so.
It acts as a highly effective prebiotic fiber, meaning it serves as premium fuel for the beneficial bacteria in your gut microbiome.
Okay, but there's a catch, right?
A very literal physical barrier. Raw chitin is virtually indestructible by human digestive enzymes.
Wait, so we can't digest it at all?
Not on our own, no. Our stomachs just do not have the standard biological equipment, the specific enzymes required to break down that tightly woven polymer matrix.
So it's essentially like swallowing a locked treasure chest.
That's a great way to put it.
Like you've got this chest full of biological gold inside the mushroom, vitamins, minerals, unique compounds, but if you just swallow the chest whole, you don't have the key to open it. It just passes right through you.
Exactly.
Which makes me want to push back on a very common habit. If you are throwing raw sliced mushrooms onto a salad, Are you essentially getting zero of the internal nutritional value?
If you are eating them completely raw, you are missing out on the vast majority of the intracellular benefits.
Zero nutritional value.
Well, you get some surface-level fiber, maybe some hydration, but the most potent bioactive compounds remain locked securely inside that chitin matrix. Your digestive system simply cannot access them.
So how do we get the key to the chest? What does this mean for how we handle them in the kitchen?
It means that cooking, whether you are sautéing, roasting, or boiling them in a soup, is not just about flavor enhancement. It is a biological necessity.
We have to apply heat.
Thermal energy is the only way to pre-digest that tough chitin matrix.
Okay, so the heat breaks it down.
Yes. When you expose mushrooms to high heat in a pan, the thermal energy physically breaks down the structural integrity of the cell wall. It literally shatters the bonds of that microscopic exoskeleton.
That's wild.
And when those walls collapse, the bioactive compounds are finally released into a state where your gut can actually absorb them.
You are using the heat of the frying pan to dismantle insect armor so your body can access the nutrients inside. I love that.
It's kitchen chemistry at its finest.
So let's follow that causal chain. We've applied the heat, the chitin shell has shattered, and now this mushroom is moving through our digestive tract. What exactly is spilling out into our gut to be absorbed?
Well, the first major group of unlocked components we encounter are called beta-glucans.
What exactly are beta-glucans?
They're unique, highly complex polysaccharides.
Okay, English, please.
Right. To visualize that, imagine large, intricate branching chains of carbohydrate molecules that were packed densely into the fungal cell wall before the heat broke it down.
Okay, got it. And what happens when these branching chains hit our gut lining?
This is where that shared evolutionary history we talked about earlier really shines. As these beta-glucans pass through your intestinal tract, they encounter specialized immune receptors.
Like our body's defense system.
Exactly. Your immune system has these little sentinel cells constantly scanning the gut for threats. When they detect the beta-glucans, the physical geometry of those branching chains fits perfectly into the immune receptors, like a key into a lock.
Do they recognize it as food or as a threat?
They recognize the specific molecular shape as a foreign pattern. To the human immune system, the structural signature of a beta-glucan looks remarkably similar to the signature of a dangerous pathogen.
Wait, so the immune system thinks it's under attack. That sounds like a bad thing.
I know it does, but it's actually incredible. It wears the exact same structural disguise as a dangerous invader, but underneath, it is completely harmless.
So it's a fake out.
Yeah, there's no actual infection, no toxic payload, and no danger.
Okay, let me make sure I'm wrapping my head around this. If the body thinks it's under attack, but there's no actual threat, it's kind of like pulling a fire alarm when there's no fire. Like running a fire drill for your white blood cells.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it. It is exactly a biological fire drill.
Wow.
When those receptors bind to the harmless beta-glucans, it triggers a mild, controlled alert state in your white blood cells. This heightens your overall immune surveillance.
So they wake up.
Your defenses wake up, they start patrolling the bloodstream, and they are suddenly primed and ready to respond to actual threats more efficiently.
But because it's just a drill, it doesn't push the system over the edge into full-blown inflammation.
Exactly, and that distinction is crucial. Chronic inflammation is the root of so many systemic health issues, and it's usually caused by an immune system that is overreacting, constantly fighting real damage or attacking the body itself.
Right.
Beta-glucans don't trigger that destructive inflammatory cascade. Instead, they provide a way to train and modulate the innate immune system safely. We're using a harmless fungal molecule to keep our human immune system sharp, regulated, and prepared.
The mushroom is literally acting as a personal trainer for your immune system. That is incredible.
It really is.
Okay, so while the beta-glucans are out there running fire drills and training our immune system to defend against external threats in the present moment, what else is coming out of that shattered cell wall? Because there's another compound that acts more like a shield for our long-term cellular future, right?
Yes, we are shifting gears here from immediate immune defense to long-term cellular preservation. This brings us to a molecule called ergothioneine.
Ergothioneine. I know longevity researchers have been calling this the longevity vitamin. What makes it so special?
First and foremost, it's an amino acid derivative. But here is the critical constraint. Human bodies absolutely cannot synthesize it.
We can't make it ourselves.
We simply do not have the biological machinery to make it. If we want it in our bodies, we must acquire it through our diet
And let me guess, mushrooms have a monopoly on it.
by an Astronomical margin. Mushrooms are the #1 dietary source of ergothioneine on planet Earth.
Okay, but I have to ask a skeptical question here.
Sure.
We hear about antioxidants constantly. We know we're supposed to eat our blueberries, get our vitamin C, take our vitamin E.
Right, the usual suspects.
Yeah, so if those things are already functioning as antioxidants in the body, why is ergothioneine getting this VIP treatment from longevity scientists? What makes it different from a blueberry?
The answer lies in how our genetics handle this specific molecule. Vitamin C and E are great, but they generally float around the bloodstream in tissues doing their job.
Like general maintenance.
Exactly. But ergothioneine is completely different. Human cells actually possess a dedicated transport protein, which is driven by a very specific gene called the OCTN1 gene.
A dedicated gene, just for this one compound.
Yes, the sole exclusive job of the transport protein created by the OCTN1 gene is to wait around, grab ergothioneine from our bloodstream, and escort it
Escort it where?
straight into our mitochondria.
The mitochondria, the
Yeah.
power plants of our cells.
Right. The mitochondria are where our cells generate the ATP, the biological energy required for us to stay alive.
Okay.
But creating that energy is an incredibly messy, volatile chemical process. It creates a massive amount of oxidative stress and free radicals.
So it's sort of a dirty process.
Think of it like the toxic, corrosive exhaust fumes coming out of a high-performance engine. Right.
Because
Because of this constant energy production, the mitochondria experience the highest levels of oxidative stress anywhere in the human body.
So if I'm tracking this, our body knows that the mitochondria are under constant, intense attack from their own energy production. So it evolved this highly specific OCTN1 transport protein to grab this exact mushroom compound and shuttle it straight into the danger zone.
Ergothioneine gets VIP escorted right to the center of the mitochondria, where it acts as an internal molecular shield.
That is wild.
It sits right at the site of energy production,
Yeah.
soaking up the damage and protecting our cellular DNA and the fragile mitochondrial structures from being destroyed by those free radicals.
That demonstrates such a crazy level of biological intention.
It really does.
I mean, the fact that human genetics evolved a highly specific transport mechanism whose only job is to utilize a single fungal molecule, it really shows how deeply those evolutionary histories are intertwined, like you mentioned earlier.
It's a perfect molecular lock and key. And the real-world results of this are highly measurable.
Like in studies.
Yeah, when you look at epidemiological data, populations with a high dietary intake of ergothioneine correlate strongly with lower incidences of neurodegenerative conditions.
Because the brain uses so much energy, right?
Exactly. The human brain consumes roughly 20% of the body's total energy, which means the mitochondria in our neurons are working overtime, producing massive amounts of oxidative stress.
Wow, 20%.
So protecting those specific mitochondria over decades is a fundamental pillar of maintaining cognitive health. Ergothioneine acts as a literal brain-aging defense mechanism.
Okay, so we've established that cooking the mushrooms is the non-negotiable first step. You have to apply heat to break the chitin shell, which unlocks the beta-glucans for the immune system, and freeze the ergothioneine to protect the mitochondria.
Exactly.
But there is a biochemical trick you can do to supercharge the mushrooms before they even hit the frying pan.
Oh, this might be one of the most practical, actionable pieces of science we've ever discussed.
I am so fascinated by this.
Right.
We know humans synthesize vitamin D when we go out in the sun. The UV rays hit our skin, a chemical reaction happens, and our body produces the vitamin.
Right.
Well, it turns out mushrooms can do the exact same thing.
Yes. Mushrooms naturally contain a sterol, which is a specific type of lipid molecule called ergosterol.
Okay.
And ergosterol has a very unique property when exposed to ultraviolet light. Specifically, when UVB rays from the sun hit the mushroom, a photochemical reaction occurs.
What happens?
The UV energy physically breaks a molecular bond in the ergosterol, and it converts directly into vitamin D2.
Wait, I need to stop you there.
Okay.
I understand how a living human metabolizes sunlight. But a mushroom sitting on my counter has been picked. It's essentially dead. How is it biologically possible for it to synthesize vitamins from sunlight if it's no longer attached to the earth?
That's the beauty of a photochemical reaction. It doesn't require the organism to be metabolically alive in the way we think of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the ergosterol is still sitting there in the tissue. The UV light is simply providing the raw energy needed to snap that chemical bond and rearrange the molecule.
Yeah.
It's pure chemistry happening right in the tissue of the mushroom.
So we can essentially use this to our advantage right in our own kitchens.
Absolutely.
Here is the sunlight hack. If you take standard grocery store mushrooms, just regular white button or committee mushrooms, and you leave them gills up on a windowsill in direct midday sunlight for 30 to 60 minutes before you cook them, what actually happens?
Their vitamin D levels absolutely skyrocket. We are talking about an increase of 400% or more just from sitting in the sun.
That blows my mind. It's like you are physically charging a biological battery right on your kitchen counter.
That's a perfect analogy.
You buy this dormant thing at the store, put it in the sun, and watch its nutritional value multiply.
They essentially sunbathe and synthesize vitamin D just like we do. And if we connect this to the bigger picture of human nutrition, dietary sources of active vitamin D are incredibly rare.
Especially for people on plant-based diets.
Exactly. We mostly get it from fortified dairy or oily fish. This simple windowsill trick turns an ordinary cheap culinary ingredient into a potent functional source of a crucial vitamin.
Gills up in the sun 30 to 60 minutes, biological battery charged. I will never look at meal prep the same way again.
It's a game changer.
But this sunlight hack really only scratches the surface of what the fungal kingdom is capable of. We've been talking mostly about the standard culinary mushrooms you find at the grocery store. Let's move into some specific mushroom varieties that take this targeted science to the absolute extreme.
Yeah, if everyday culinary mushrooms are the baseline of fungal benefits, these specific varieties are the functional elite. We are moving into the realm of highly specialized medicinal mushrooms.
Let's start with lion's mane. This one has exploded in popularity in the wellness space recently. People take it for focus and brain fog. But what is the actual mechanism at play here? How does a mushroom affect the brain?
Lion's mane has a profound impact on the nervous system because it contains two specific classes of compounds called hericenones and arenosines.
Well, what do those do when they enter the body?
First, they have to get to the brain, which is incredibly difficult.
Why is that?
The human brain is protected by the blood-brain barrier, which is a highly selective filter that blocks most molecules in our bloodstream from entering brain tissue.
Okay, so it keeps the bad stuff out.
Right. But hericenones and arenosines have a very low molecular weight, and they are lipid-soluble. This allows them to slip right past the blood-brain barrier and enter the brain directly.
And once they're inside?
Once inside, they stimulate the production of a protein called nerve growth factor, or NGF.
Nerve growth factor. That sounds like exactly what you would want for brain health.
It is essential. NGF plays a critical role in the maintenance, survival, and regeneration of neurons.
So it's repairing the brain.
It essentially tells your brain cells to grow, branch out, and form new connections. By stimulating NGF production, lion's mane actively supports neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to reorganize itself and adapt to new information or recover from damage.
So we aren't just talking about a mild caffeine-like energy boost. We are talking about actively promoting the structural health and physical flexibility of your neural pathways.
Precisely. It is a highly targeted tool for cognitive optimization, working at the physical level of the neuron.
Amazing. And then we have reishi mushrooms, which seem to operate on a completely different biological axis. If lion's mane is about stimulation and growth, what is reishi doing?
Reishi acts as a deep modulator for the body's stress response. It contains a dense concentration of active compounds called triterpenes.
Triterpenes?
Yes. These are the compounds that give reishi its famously bitter taste.
So how do these triterpenes actually calm us down?
They interface directly with our endocrine and nervous systems, specifically targeting the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which controls our stress response.
Okay, so what happens when we're stressed?
Well, when you're chronically stressed, your body is constantly pumping out cortisol and adrenaline. The triterpenes in reishi help downregulate that sympathetic nervous system response.
Downregulate, like turning it down.
Exactly. They effectively quiet the biological noise, telling the adrenal glands to ease up on the cortisol production.
So it's physically lowering the volume on your stress hormones.
It is. And because of this profound modulation, reishi is highly effective at supporting deep, restorative sleep.
So it's like a sleeping pill.
No, it doesn't act like a sedative that just knocks you out.
Yeah.
It brings the entire physiological system back down to a calm baseline so natural sleep can occur.
This raises such an important point for me. We started this deep dive looking at a standard button mushroom, realizing we had to cook it to physically shatter the insect-like chitin wall
Right.
Then we found out it's running fire drills for our immune system with beta-glucans and escorting molecular shields directly to our mitochondria with ergothioneine.
The VIP escort.
Yeah, and then we learned we could sunbathe them to multiply their vitamin D.
Yeah.
And now we are looking at lion's mane physically rebuilding neural pathways and reishi hacking our adrenal response.
It really reframes the entire kingdom.
It really does.
Whether we are talking about everyday culinary mushrooms synthesizing vitamin D on your windowsill, or functional extracts acting as an untapped pharmacy for neuroplasticity and sleep, the fungal kingdom provides some of the most highly targeted, biologically compatible tools for human optimization that exist in the natural world.
It's an untapped pharmacy, literally hiding in plain sight in the produce aisle. So, what does this all mean for you listening right now? What is the practical takeaway for your daily life?
Well, next time you're at the grocery store, navigating the aisles, absolutely do not skip the mushrooms.
And when you bring them home, remember the golden rules.
First, respect them in the pan. You must apply thermal energy to break down that ketone matrix. If you don't cook them, you don't unlock the benefits.
And second, give them a little sun worship on the windowsill before you do. Charge that biological battery. Let that UV light snap those bonds and make that vitamin D for you.
Knowledge is most valuable when it's applied. These are tiny, almost effortless changes in how you handle your food, but they leverage millions of years of evolutionary biochemistry directly to your advantage.
It is exactly why we love doing these deep dives, which leaves me with one final thought I want to leave you with today. We talked about that VIP escort protein, the OCTN1 gene, that exists inside the human body for the sole specific purpose of transporting a fungal compound, ergothioneine, directly to our cells' power plants.
Right, our highly specific biological machinery.
Yeah, given that our human bodies have evolved such incredibly dedicated, highly specific genetic pathways just to utilize a compound from a mushroom, it raises a fascinating, almost haunting question.
What's that?
How many other ordinary, completely overlooked organisms out there in the natural world hold highly specialized evolutionary keys to human biology that we simply haven't discovered yet?
That is a great question.
Next time you look at that plastic-wrapped carton of white button mushrooms, just remember, you're holding a lot more than a salad topping. You're holding a biological key. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.